On the Fringe with Dan RadioStyle. I hope everybody out there's having themselves a great day. Got one new Q post, but we've got some exciting things that are starting to happen. And I think a lot of people might not be realizing the progress we're making. And it may not be as obvious to some. But when you pay attention and when you learn to kind of see between the lines, the way the deep state puts their questions out into the media, and the way the media then presents the information, it's always meant to lead. It's always meant to make people think something's happening. But in some cases, you can tell that they're actually trying to figure something out. So we've got some great information to share with you guys. So I'm going to go ahead and get this fired up right now. Apologize for a slightly different setup. My other computer has taken a dive on me, but it is I got the part in the mail, so it'll be fixed in a couple days. But anywho, so great story that kind of came out here that's interesting. And again, I'm going to try to paint a picture here to best of my ability. And we've got the new Q post is actually going to be coming up next, so don't I'm not going to be burying that. And it's only one post, so give us a second. But the White House is scrapping Monday's coronavirus briefing. And there's a lot of talk right now that President Trump's going to start to back away from these, not be in them as often, not be as involved. One of the criticisms that I think is fair is that Trump feels like he's got to be out there in front of us so much and so often that he sometimes says things that I know get misunderstood for sure. And I'm not here to criticize anything. For example, the story about getting light into the lungs. There's actually a story that came out from Fox News that talks about the tubes, breathing tubes, having light in them, which is kind of an interesting idea. So there's some interesting thoughts that come out of his face, and then ultimately they get spun and turned all around. So one of the things that they're, I think, going to try to do is use it to control the message for what's going on. It limits the amount of exposure and thusly the amount that they can get mad at him or criticize him. And he can still use it when he wants to and when he feels like there's a good reason to. So it's a very good thing that they're actually making some changes and adjustments to how this is playing out. Now, as far as the new Q post, right now we've got a very interesting situation here where they're reposting this picture of the Boston church, right? The two if by land, one by sea or whatever. Or I think might be saying it backwards, whatever. What we've got here is another picture of it. A lot of the Anons can't quite tell. I can't quite tell either what all's going on in the photo. But again, I don't know if it matters so much how many of the candles are there or how many of these lanterns are there, as much as the fact that like the symbol is being used, the sign is being placed for all of us to see. Now, one thing that did get linked in this Q post, and I think this is equally fascinating, is Maria Bartiromo from Fox News. Breaking news. Sources tell me that at Glenn Flynn, whoever that is, will be completely exonerated. Sorry, Flynn, General Flynn, will be completely exonerated this week. It was a total fraud, a setup, more tomorrow. So this is going to be happening today. This was yesterday, 20 hours ago. So Maria is coming out and saying, hey, look, something major is going on. We also get this link over here where we've got a little video here that's I think worth listening to. And this was kind of tying back into this whole Bartiromo story. And this is Devin Nunes talking about this very same thing. Let's go full screen on this and boom.
Continue this investigation. Why is General Flynn important? Because on Friday night, thankfully, Attorney General Barr has appointed a U.S. attorney out of Missouri to look into, what was going on in some of these investigations. And now we don't know what was submitted to the court on Friday evening, but we believe that it's possibly exculpatory evidence that the government had on General Flynn. Okay, and remember, in our report, the report which the House Republican report from 2018. It's the gold standard, okay, of reports. If you look at all the other reports, whether it's the intelligence community assessment, whether it's the Mueller report, whether it's the Steele DNC dossier, those are all a joke, right? And the media, has been promoting this Russia hoax for so long. And the reality, you have the former head of the DIA, who has been strung up here for year after year after year. And what was now likely, we're going to find out, he was framed. Imagine that, being framed by our own government and by political operatives who don't like you. And I think that's what we're going to find out.
Very strong statements there from Devin Nunes. And without a doubt, they're all kind of working together. Things are coming out. Drip, drip, drip. So many people need and want this to happen faster than it's going to. It's not going to happen that quickly. It can't. It's government speed. If you just rush through and just start trying to throw the book at everybody, they're going to have like what's happening with General Flynn. They're going to be exonerated from it because we haven't done the homework. We haven't done the legwork. We didn't do the investigations like Durham's doing right now, which, by the way, there's been no leaks, right? So no leaks. None of us really know what's going on, especially the deep state, and that's freaking people out a lot. Now, what's really funny, obviously, is the deep state, without a doubt, hates Trump. Why? Because I think he's trying to change things. I believe that's the case. I'm being somewhat facetious, tongue-in-cheek. But they dislike him because he's standing against them, because he's calling out the BS that exists everywhere. And another thing that's very interesting, a lot of people think that Q is this whole Q movement is a conspiracy, it's right wing, it's lunatics, it's all this crazy stuff. And I okay, that's fine. And we can label it whatever we want. I mean, the platforms that we're doing these shows on do the same, right? It's just how it is. But what's interesting is Trump has actually talked about the number 17 a number of times. And what's really funny about the number 17, of course, 17th letter of the alphabet is Q. So coincidence, probably, because that's always got to be how it is. The law of confusion. You got to allow people to believe it's something else. It's just random that every once in a while he says 17. Is it every once in a while? I don't know. I might disagree. We'll see.
I want to know really who are the 17%? Who are they? Who the hell are the 17%? Anybody in here from the 17%? Don't raise your hand. It may be dangerous. 17, 17, 17, 17, 17, 17, 17, 17, 17, 17, 17, 17, 17, 17, 17, 17, 17, 17, 17, 17. So I think I might have been in Washington 17 times in my life. 17, 17, and 17, 17, 17, 17. 17, 17, 17, 17, 17, 17, 17, 17, 17, 17, 17, 17, 17, 17, 17, 17, 17. I spoke to him 17 minutes ago. I hung up the phone as you're coming in. 17, 17, 17, 17, 17, 17, 17, 17, 17, 17, 17, 17, 17, 17, 17, 17, 17, 17, 17, 17, 17, 17, 17, 17, 17. So you had 17 Republicans plus me. 17, 17, 17, 17, 17, 17, 17, 17, 17, 17, 17, 17, 17, 17, 17, 17, 17, 17, 17, 17, planning it for 17 years.
Isn't that interesting? 17. Always such a strong number, of course, and a very good example of what's actually going on. There's more going on than meets the eye. Very little exposure is being given to this. That's why so many of us, myself included, are coming out of the woodworks to try to help tell this story, to try to help get this information out, to try to help people understand that there's more going on than is necessarily shown on some of the major news sources, some of the major news agencies, blah, 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 right? The mainstream media and everything else. The propaganda machine is being questioned. The awakenings are happening. Mass numbers of people are coming to the table. It's extremely powerful. Another really big thing that's been coming into play is what's going on with Kim Jong-un. Many people are asking about it. The press has actually gone out and said, "Hey, anybody know what's going on with the Kim Jong-un? Let us know," because he's kind of missing in action. They called out Trump on it, asked him, "Hey, Trump, do you know what's going on with this Kim Jong-un? Have you talked to him?" And he's like, "I don't want to get into that right now." And he refuses to answer the question. Another thing, just to give a little preface, that's very interesting about Trump and Un's relationship, if you didn't know, is they communicate via courier. Via courier. A person, like literally Trump writes a letter, puts it in an envelope, licks it, sends it off with a dude in an attaché case and probably armed, obviously someone he trusts. And this guy flies to North Korea and probably takes a boat through a jungle, right? And then gives the guy his note. So something is going on. Well, what happened here with Donald Trump, and it's .@Triple-H. And part of me is wondering if the period was there more just to mess with the @Triple-H, because it still did the link properly. So I don't understand what the point of the period. Maybe it's a period like end of story. Here you go, end of story. But anyway, everyone's saying Triple H, and if you say H, 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 H is the 8th letter of the alphabet. I'm just going with what everyone's saying, but it is interesting. But 8th letter of the alphabet, which would then mean 888. So people naturally said, all right, well, let's look at Q post 888. And so right here, we've got the Q post 888. And we got some anonymous. We get down into here where you get, he already did. Think back, the North Korean pics. Everything has meaning, right? This is going to break up the MSN. This is after he's leaving. He's sending a little picture. And down at the start of it all, which is very, very cool. Thank you, Kim. Deal made. Clowns out. Strings cut. We took control. Iran next. This was November 14th. When was this? November 8th or March 8th, 2018 was when this happened. There has been, again, the whole thing of future proves past, right? So here again, we're talking about this new post with the Triple H. Coincidentally, links back to 888. And when you look at it, it ties into what's going on in the news and what's relevant to what Trump is posting. Another thing that's very interesting to keep in mind is Trump was not only the first president to cross into the DMZ, he's the only president to ever do that.
It was an extraordinary visual as President Trump took the final steps north toward the line separating North and South Korea. A smiling Kim Jong-un walking briskly to meet him.
My friend.
It is good to see you again.
The North Korean leader, one of the world's most brutal dictators, warmly greeting the U.S. president. Good to see you again, he said. I never expected to meet you at this place.
It's my honor. Would you like me to step across?
President Trump walking onto North Korean territory, the first time a sitting American president has ever stepped foot inside the reclusive state, and gave the dictator another handshake before the cameras. This just 32 hours after the president disclosed his suggested meeting with a tweet.
It's amazing that that was able to happen that way, right? So again, Trump set foot, one of the only people ever to do that, only leader, only president ever to do that. And so again, a lot of interesting information is coming out around North Korea. A lot of people want to paint him as a horrible, bad person. And I get that. That makes perfect sense. It is what it is. But again, they're building a story. Things are starting to come out. This is one of those situations where you've got to let people show their hands. With all the governors and state closings and state openings and all this stuff playing out, we've got to see who opens up, who doesn't open up, who's got their hand out. There's a lot of people that are talking about some of the blue states are in bad financial situation, and they're trying to get some of this money that's flowing around. And Trump's like, hey, we're not here to fund the states. We're here to take care of the people, not the government, not the organizations that have been mismanaging things for eons. Now, one of the final things we're going to cover here that I think is very, very interesting to keep in mind, this John Cardillo posted 3 failed coup attempts. 1, Russian collusion hoax during campaign. 2, Mueller's sham. 3, illegitimate impeachment. Do you really think these lunatics would inflate the mortality rates by underreporting? Do you? I wonder. I don't know. I'm not saying. But there is a lot of question as to what lengths people will go in order to make things worse, to not seem worse. I'm not even saying that. I'm saying to make things actually worse. The cure cannot be worse than the actual sickness. And that's what they're starting to butt up against. That's what a lot of people are starting to wake up to. A lot of people are going stir crazy. A lot of people can't keep doing this ad infinitum. It's something that's just not in our nature. We are social creatures. We're touchy-feely creatures. We don't handle this isolation as well as others. Something that's also funny little story, just to tie in here. Tennessee had the highest one-day jump in coronavirus cases ahead of the restaurant reopening. Isn't that interesting? The day before the restaurants open, they have a 5.2% increase in the number of cases. I'm sure they just got lost in the mail or someone didn't tally them properly in some county, right? I'm sure that's all that was. And then they finally got up to date and just pushed all that information up to the state recording. I'm sure that's all that was, right? Of course, because that doesn't look strange at all. Mm-mm. So again, we've got a lot of very interesting things coming into our attention. Be faith. Trust the plan that keeps saying, be mindful. Don't just blindly trust, but understand that there's a lot of evidence that's being thrown out there to support this movement, that's being thrown out there to try to show that, hey, look, we are literally trying to do this the way we intended to. There is a huge intention from Trump to try to point out some of the things going on with the media. He even went so far as to put that snippet together, I don't know, a couple weeks ago, where he was showing all the places where he would do one thing and immediately the media would say, yeah, he's horrible. And then he'd do the opposite and the media would say, he's horrible. Like, the guy can't win. And I don't think there's any way as a country we can move forward if we can't figure out a way to at least kind of get together. I'm not here, and nor will I be. I've got family members that are hardcore Democrats. I don't hate Democrats. I don't hate Republicans. I don't hate either side. What I do is I love people. I love freedom. I love the United States. I love the patriots. I love our armed forces. I love our Constitution. I think we have one of, if not the best country in the world. And I think we take great pride in that. And we as Americans frequently don't care what everyone else does. We're going to do it our way. And I'll tell you what, our way gets stuff done. Our way puts butts in the seats. Our way changes the world. So a lot of the world is waiting to see what's U.S. going to do next. Here's what's going on. We've got a propaganda machine that's telling everybody something differently. And Trump's calling them out on it. He's hitting this from a lot of different angles, all the while constantly having people taking shots at him every step of the way. And some people that don't really like to critically think just because everybody hates him, he must be bad. And no, there's an intentional movement to try to push an opinion towards hating him. And even in spite of that tsunami of bad news, this man, his approval ratings, his numbers are getting better and better and better in all categories. He seems to be handling the situation well. I will say, as of late, some of the stuff in the task force briefings went a little weird. But I think in the big picture, he's still doing a great job, an amazing job, trying to take care of the patriots, trying to drain the swamp. And I actually believe that's what's happening. This week, I'm expecting some news about General Flynn, and could quite possibly be today. That would not surprise me. So stay tuned. A lot will be coming, and I do think we'll probably get some more Q posts to continue following. In fact, I'm going to do a quick check just to see if we've got any fresh ones here. I don't believe so, but it's been a little while that I've been prepping some of this. Cool. So nothing new yet, but I know we've got more Q posts coming. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. Please thumbs up, like, share, all that great stuff. Thank you so much for joining me on The Fringe. Stan Radio Style.